What's up? I'm Samir. This is part three, and learning about tech sales. And today we're going to talk about how SDRs prospect. So share a little bit more about me. I'm Samir. I'm the founder of Tech Sales Mentors. If you're trying to get a job in tech sales, we help get you into interviews. You don't lift a finger. We will set you up with a mentor in tech sales, and they'll help get you into crushing those interviews through doing mock interviews with them, and then ultimately we'll help you negotiate your offer so you end up with the best one possible. So you can learn more about us at techsalesmentors.com. But yeah, let's just jump into talking about today how SDRs prospect. So first, if you're like, what prospect? Like, what does that mean? Don't know prospecting, that kind of stuff, then you're probably starting at this video and you haven't watched the previous ones. So part one, part two goes over stuff like that. So if you're on YouTube, that's below in the comments, or if you're on our website, you'll see that below as well. So check out those and leave this video if you don't know that. But for those of you that done your homework, let's jump into it. So let's say you're not in an inbound role, right? Where leads are coming to you, hitting your contact sales button, downloading a guide or a webinar. What if you have to instead find the leads, right? Then, okay, that's the time you utilize prospecting. When you have to go out and find good potential companies and good people at those companies who fit what are basically called like your ICP, right? So what does the ICP mean? This is an acronym. It stands for ideal customer profile, right? Or ideal customer persona. And kind of like the definition of it, right, is just defining companies and people who best fit what you're selling, right? So maybe that's like the size of the business you're selling to. Maybe that's the industry they're in. Maybe it's the geography. Maybe it's the type of problems that they could be facing, right? So let's like to better understand this concept, let's like go through a silly example, right? So let's talk about like workout supplements, right? Let's talk about like, I don't know, like creatine or like steroids or something crazy. Someone who doesn't care about like having huge muscles, so maybe like a person who only does yoga, they wouldn't fit within my ICP of workout supplements of creatine or steroid, right? Because they don't care about that stuff. They care about like mindfulness and spiritualness and like connecting with your body. They don't care about maybe they don't care as much about like physical muscular appearance. But who, like if I am selling that creatine or steroids, who would fit my ICP? Maybe it's that bro on Instagram who just every story is him shirtless, over flexing his abs. He's at the gym, he's lifting up his shirt, taking selfies. That would be, my ICP right there. So that's a silly example. But later on we'll walk through more examples to our world of software and tech sales. So, so kind of like, what I want to talk through here is just kind of prospecting mistakes that I often see happen, and what instead, like, what do expert prospectors do? What do the best SDRs do when they're prospecting? So first concept to consider is just realize when you're prospecting, every prospect isn't created equal, right? Just like I gave you in that example. Some prospects are more likely to end up being good fits for our product and people who will actually buy our product, while others aren't a good fit for what we're selling. So that's the first thing, is just not every potential person who is out there is a good potential prospect. And you want to have that sort of mindset on, right? Because at the end of the point of reaching out to people isn't just to reach out to them. The point is to reach out to people who we feel confident that, okay, they have the certain characteristics or criteria that would want a product like ours. So first issue I see SDRs make is they don't effectively use the resources at their disposal. they will only utilize their own knowledge of what they think a good potential prospect looks like. Whereas expert prospectors, expert SDRs who are great at finding the right companies and individuals, they utilize all of like the data they have at their company, within their company, at their disposal. They're using that information to figure out what are good companies and what are good individuals at those companies I should reach out to. So later, again, we'll walk through an example, but first thing there is just know that there's a lot of data available to you when you are in your SDR role to figure out who are the right people to reach out to and right companies. And then the second concept here is, understanding effort versus impact, right? So I think, people talk about hard work, and it's important to do hard work, but it's also important to make sure that, like that saying, right? Don't work hard, work smart. Well, I think you should work hard and smart, but what this basically means is you want to understand the activity of what you're doing, what level of like impact that actually has. Will that actually move the needle or not in terms of like your goal? You want to rank these things. So here's an example of someone obsessing over effort, but not obsessing over impact. Obsessing over effort would be, okay, let's say we'll go back to a silly example of me selling workout supplements. Let's say I live in New York City and I go to Times Square, and just anyone who's walking by, I am selling them on my supplements. Okay, so that is working hard, right? Because I'm just like going up to everyone. Times Square, there's lots of people there. Okay, so there's lots of people for me to reach out to. I'm working hard. I'm putting in that effort. But is that the place where I'm going to have the highest impact? Is that the place where I'm going to meet the most people who fit my ICP, right? Maybe thinking through effort thinking through impact instead of effort. Maybe instead of going to Times Square, I'll go outside of a gym, right? Or I will be outside of a supplement store, right? And, just beat them on price right there. Maybe it's going to a trade show of people who work out. Maybe it's reaching out to people on Instagram who are posting shirtless selfies. That's understanding impact, right? And not just focusing on effort. So one concept I want you to sort of take away as you consider about, hey, what should I be working on? What channels should I be reaching out to prospects on? Categorize effort and impact, right? And things you want to do when you're considering doing a task is do the highest impact things that take the least amount of effort, right? That means you're spending the least amount of time to get the best results, right? And that's the ultimate goal of like working, is like doing things fast that actually produce results. So, maybe you learn differently in school. I think we all learn differently in school. It's like, write this 5-paragraph essay, has to be X amount of words. In the real world, it's like, no, write the shortest amount possible while getting the point still across. So in this sort of specific example, right, it's like, the SDRs will focus less on what companies am I reaching out to and more just on like, I'm going to hammer away at reaching out to companies. And instead of focusing on, I'm going to choose 100 amazing companies to reach out to this week, it's just, I'm not focusing at all on what the companies are, but I'm going to reach out to 1,000. So don't do that. Instead, really realize that company selection is a high leverage activity. If you choose the right companies, then those companies are more likely to be interested in your product, which means they're more likely to respond to your emails or cold calls, which means they're more likely to get on the call with you, and then they're more likely to you converting that to an account executive who, that's basically how you attain your quota, is if they show up to a call with an account executive after that call with you, and the account executive says, yes, this is a good potential lead who could potentially buy our product. And that's the goal here, is to hit your quota. That's your number one sort of way you're tracked on performance is, are you hitting your quota? So that's why all this stuff is important. Cool. So, all right. So let's go through, that first part, which is, okay, how do we use company resources effectively to, prospect well? So there's lots of resources at your disposal. The first thing that's at your disposal is just your company's own site. They advertise who they work well with, right? So let's use Salesforce as an example. So Salesforce, maybe familiar with them, maybe not. Salesforce is used by virtually every serious B2B sales organization. It's what's called a CRM. A CRM just means a customer relationship management software, or customer relationship management is what CRM stands for. So it's just where you sort of like organize all of your sales data, right? That is the emails you are sending out to prospects. That's the prospects you're reaching out to. That's the potential deals you're working with prospects. That's the of the prospects that you are working with, the ones that close, how much are they paying you? So it helps organize this information, right? These companies are huge. Your sales managers, sales leaders need to be able to track these things, understand how overall performance is. So all of that data, goes into Salesforce. So any serious sales organization who wants to make sure they're tracking well against their sales forecasts, their sales goals, any sales organization that wants to understand where are we performing well, where aren't we performing well, is going to use Salesforce. So kind of what you'll notice is most of these companies will have sort of like a customers tab or an industries tab that basically advertise, here's who we work best with, right? And the reason they have that is because this site is built for potential customers who are interested in their products, right? So if I'm a potential customer, if I'm a potential automotive customer, I can clearly see here, oh, okay, Salesforce does work with automotive companies. Oh, let me click into that and understand that better. How do they work with them? So you as a potential salesperson, or you as a SDR at Salesforce, you can too use this information. You know that, okay, Salesforce works well with automotive companies. Let me find more companies like that, right? And automotive is kind of broad, right? So sometimes you'll notice these companies have really broad titles or broad industries. What you want to do is narrow in a little bit here, right? So for instance, I clicked on consumer goods, right? Let's go a layer deeper, right? To make sure we're finding, because there's so many types of consumer goods companies in the world. Let's try to find companies who are just more specific within that. So for instance, okay, let's choose apparel, footwear, and accessories, right? So now that, I'm going to look through this. Okay, cool. That's how they help them. What are some companies that I can find here? So come on, give me some companies. Okay, well, I've been scrolling past them. So Guess is an example. Yeah, that's the first one they did. Do they have any more? Yeah, okay, so maybe they don't have as many. So, okay, so what I can basically do is I can just Google Guess versus Guess shoes. Is Guess even I'm sorry, I'm not a, fashion kind of guy. I don't know if Guess has so okay, Guess does everything. So whatever, let's take a step back here. So what we saw there was, what did we see? Apparel, footwear, and accessories. So, okay, I know they work with those types of companies. So then you can Google these huge lists of companies. So if I just type in apparel companies, what you'll see, you'll just like see these huge lists. And there are some sites that I think are really good for like figuring out like companies within an industry. Like one example is Consumer Package. I think it was Consumer Packaged Goods. If CB Insights is a great website that categorizes all companies, lots of companies within industries, right? So let's see here. So cool. I'll take a look here. Okay, cool. So like, that's like, this isn't like CPG companies. This is like software companies. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes they're more focused on like more tech type companies. Oh, but here's an example, right? So like this is talking about D2C. That just means direct to consumer, more so e-commerce companies. So, okay, this will be a list of like, tons of, and you see it's locked. So, hit up your company, right? Like if you get a paid subscription to this is helping you do your job better. So maybe your company has access to this. If not, like companies have budgets. Your company has a budget to use. So you could always be like, hey, this helps me prospect better. So that could be one example. But yeah, even if it's not that, it's just like, you just type in the industry and you type in companies and you'll just see these like websites have huge lists. So that's one way to prospect. So that's how you find like companies there. So that's one example, is just take what you're seeing on your company's website and use Google to find those company lists. Okay, next example is Slack. So what's Slack? You may or may not know about this. Slack, think about this as just like, it's iMessage, but for within your company, right? So it's basically a place where you can message other employees within your organization. Sometimes there's like group channels, right, with your whole team. Sometimes there's group channels with the whole company. Sometimes there's channels just dedicated to like filtering, sending messages of like status updates on data from other tools. So like, here's an example of what I mean by that last part of like data coming in from other tools. You want visibility, like for instance, like there's a Slack channel called Closed Won. What does that mean? Closed Won is when a potential customer signs a deal and they say, yes, I will pay for your product. We've closed won them. They are now a company we have closed and they have become a customer. So there's a Slack channel dedicated to this in most, tech software organizations where people want to see that, right? Sales leaders want to see that so they can understand how things are progressing. People just employees want to see it because they like get pumped up about that stuff. So you can use this to prospect better, right? So there'll be lots of Slack channels that talk about the different sales stages within your company, right? So the examples would be like, there'll be a Slack channel for when you as a BDR or SDR, when you get on a call with a customer and you ask them discovery questions, you figure out they're qualified, they have problems you can solve, they can afford the product, and then you briefly pitch the product and say, hey, would you be interested in speaking more with an account executive? And they say yes. Then that is basically a qualified opportunity, a BDR qualified opportunity. And there's a Slack channel for that. So you can use that information and see, okay, what are the other BDRs? What are they qualifying? What types of companies are they qualifying? Am I noticing themes here in types of companies that keep on popping up? Okay, maybe I should be looking for those types of companies. Same concept with AEs. So when account executives have that first conversation with a prospect after you did as an SDR, then they will qualify that person and make sure it's actually legit. So when they do that, then that's called an AE qualified opportunity. So there'll be a Slack channel for that. And then further down the like funnel when it's in like it's in negotiation stage, or they're in like a trial stage. All the companies will have like different forms of this, but it'll just basically like it's a funnel all the way down to eventually closed won, right? And this potential customer becoming a paying customer. So here's a story time of actually an SDR I know who took this information, and she was about, I think, like she had a quarterly quota, right? So that means her quota is tracked on, a 3-month basis, like every quarter. So it was the last month. She had 33% of the time left, right, to hit her quota. And she was only at about 20% of her quota. So she's like, I got to figure something out. Like, I don't, like, this isn't working, what I'm doing. So she tried a little experiment, and that experiment was, I'm like, instead of just trying to figure out, like, on my own, like, who I should be reaching out to, or using the company site, like, it wasn't working that effectively for her. She's like, I'm just going to see what's working for my peers right now, right? See if there's any trends I can exploit. And basically she saw 2 different SDRs, each have an opportunity in the crypto space. And basically she was able to, like, you can kind of see here, right? There's like, this is sparse on information, but like maybe there'll be a link to the Salesforce opportunity, right? Because remember, all this sales information is tracked in Salesforce. So then she could click into the Salesforce link and go deeper and see like, okay, I got the name of the company and the deal amount. Okay, what else can I look at? I can look at the company size. I can look at the industry. I can look at the actual notes that the SDR took from the call. So she did that for 2 of these crypto opportunities, and she's like, these companies are blowing up and they desperately need a solution like ours. Okay, I'm going to try this fun experiment where I find all the crypto companies right now, and I'm going to take the notes that I see from these 2 existing opportunities that we have with companies and understand how we're helping them, like what problems are we solving. And I'm going to create sort of a campaign, a sequence or a cadence that is built for specifically crypto companies. So the messaging is perfect towards those types of companies, right? It's not generic. It's very personalized and focused to them. And I'm going to try this experiment for 1 week. And, I think by the end of that week, she ended up with a few opportunities. She's like, okay, great. This is working. Let me push on the gas pedal. And she ended up finishing that quarter, that month, like over-attaining on her quota. And she started that last month of her quarter at 20% of her quota. So she blew it out of the water that past month simply by seeing what's working now. Let me accelerate on that gas pedal. So don't sleep on that. All right, what else? So competitor sites, right? Who are your competitors? What types of companies are they messaging to? You likely have a similar product to them, right? So are there any types of industries that they are they're focused on that your company isn't that focused on for whatever reason, right? Hasn't exploited that opportunity. Then cool, like take the same approach as you did to your own company site. Go to their customer case studies and industries tab, right? So an example would be a competitor of Salesforce is called HubSpot, right? So if we go to their resources tab, and then let's look for case studies, I think the industry that I found was marketing and advertising. So I saw this on HubSpot, marketing and advertising, and I didn't see this on Salesforce's like industry tabs, if I remember correctly. Let's see, marketing and advertising. Yeah. And maybe they categorize it differently. So like maybe they categorize it as like media. I'm not 100% sure. But also keep in mind like Salesforce and HubSpot are like they're on the very mature end of tech companies. So they've really exposed every sort of market they're in. Whereas generally the companies you're at, like there's still lots of runway of industries they can break into or companies within that industry they can break into. So that'd be an example, right? Where, okay, I didn't see it for, I didn't see that, and I'm a Salesforce SDR. So I'm going to see who are these potential companies, and I'm going to find like lists of marketing and advertising companies, right? Or agency type of companies, or whatever type of companies these are. I'm going to like build lists of those by just using Google and typing in that industry and typing in company lists. That simple. So then what else do we have here? So then other things you can do is, this is an okay path, not the best, is just look at who's been recently funded, right? So who are companies that have just raised money? Because those companies are looking to spend that money, right? So there's tons of newsletters that do this, but the one that I like is called, and the one that I know a lot about is called Strictly VC. So you can just sign up for their newsletter, and basically like what it is, you can just like look at it here. So they send it daily, and you just got to scroll through some of this information, and then they break it down into, okay, here are companies that are raising lots of money, massive fundings. Here are companies that are raising decent amount of funding. And then here are companies who are raising like just a little bit. So it's cool because, yeah, like these companies are looking to spend money, but also keep in mind lots of SDRs are doing this. So you don't want to, like their inbox may be flooded. So with other SDRs reaching out to them. So sometimes I like waiting 30, 60 days before I reach out. And, often SDRs will just like start that outreach to them with like, congrats on the new fundraising, right? Like everyone's saying that. Don't say that, right? Be more unique in your outreach. Okay, so that's how to find companies. Now, how do we find potential people? Who should we actually be reaching out to once we find those companies? Who are the right people to reach out to? So first thing you want to do is, is be pessimistic on who people are. So I don't know if you've ever heard this in like a company setting, but like often people will say like they'll notice a problem, but they'll say, that's not my problem. That's not under my responsibilities or role or scope or whatever, right? So you want to be pessimistic and assume people are like that, right? Because, and kind of what I mean by that is like, if you have a product that helps finance teams, don't like hit up someone in HR about your finance product. Someone in HR, that's not under their roles and responsibilities to fix the finance function. So be pessimistic, assume they think it's not my problem. I don't care. I'm not even going to forward this email to the finance team because I don't give a shit. So what you want to do is if you have a product that helps finance teams, reach out to finance teams. Don't reach out to other departments at that company. So how do you figure out who are the right departments to reach out to? What does your what departments does your software help with? Again, like you'll probably get taught this at your company, but this information is also available in the same ways. It'll be available on your company site. It'll be available on your Slack and Salesforce. It'll be available on competitor sites. So let's use the example of Gong. So again, I want to teach you, I don't want to just teach you about tech sales. I want to teach you about the tools tech salespeople use. And Gong is a great one. So Gong basically will record every customer call every sales rep at your company is having. So as a new potential sales rep, that is just a gold mine of resources. Instead of you on your own trying to figure out like, how do I run a customer call? What types of questions should I be asking? How do I pitch our product? How do I handle X objection? How do I, talk about our company versus, a competitor? All of this information is available in Gong. They'll basically, you can search transcripts of customer calls and see how the best reps at your company are asking questions, pitching, answering certain objections, positioning yourself against competitors. So Gong is an amazing tool. So kind of what we can see here is under the, we can kind of see what departments they help with under the solutions tab. And most companies that'll have this, you just gotta kind of scroll through these tabs and look for it. But you can kind of see here under the solutions tab, teams, right? And they're saying here, okay, we help sales teams, we help customer success teams, and we help marketing teams. Okay, so now we know the departments they help with, but let's go even a layer deeper. What are the actual job titles of people at these companies that they help with? So if you look at the sales one, what you'll see is you'll see customer quotes from actual customers. So let's see here. Let's find it. Boom, director of sales. Okay, so when I am prospecting, I'm going to be looking, when I'm looking for the right people, I'm going to be not just looking for people on the sales team, I'm going to specifically look for directors of sales. And generally you'll notice this is a theme. You won't reach out to like entry-level people. You won't be selling to them. They don't have the budget to make the decision on buying software. What you want to do is reach out to managers, directors, executives, VPs. Those are the people who are what are called the decision maker. And when you're qualifying deals, that's one of the key things. Is this person a decision maker that can actually say yes to our software? So, so director of sales. Another way to sort of figure stuff out is when you go to the customer stories, they will like have these customer quotes, right? So let's pull that up here. So, okay, this is an example. Okay, Senior Director of Revenue Operations. Okay, great. Another sort of specific title, right? This is a person on the sales team. Okay, what else? Sure, I think I just missed the quote. Let's see here. Okay, Chief Commercial Officer. So, okay, I'll look for that type of person. That's just like generally that can be someone who, and you can kind of see it here. They basically manage the entire sales team, right? So, Chief Commercial Officer, Chief Revenue Officer, Head of Sales, that kind of title. And this will come in time, right? Like you'll figure this out as you're in the company. They'll walk you through a training of types of people, but I'm just kind of showing you how you can get this information on your own. Director, right? Director. So someone high up within the organization, new business sales. Okay, gotcha. Another sort of thing. So that's how you go about finding that kind of stuff. What else do I want to talk about here? And then, yeah, you can also, like, you don't just find it on your company site. You can also find it, like, within Salesforce. So within Salesforce, like, if you look into any deal, you'll basically see all of these fields of that, like, you know, people have to fill out on deals. And, you know, for instance, okay, cool. So, like, this deal, right? This is a deal that's being actively worked. Here are the people who are the decision makers, right? Or here are the people who are key to the deal, right? Oh, marketing manager. Oh, a sales manager. Okay, so those are the type of people I reach out to. So then, okay, now you know what to look for. Now, how do you actually find them? How do you actually find those potential leads? Well, you're going to utilize LinkedIn. So the way to utilize LinkedIn is like, let's use an example here. So let's say I'm Gong. I'm selling Gong's product. I need to look for sales leaders, right? Directors of sales, heads of sales, so on and so forth. So let's just pick a company I would sell to. Again, Gong sells to tech sales orgs, B2B type sales orgs. So I'll just choose a random one. Let's choose Figma. So Figma is some like big cool tech company. So there's kind of two ways to go about it. This is like the free way to go about it because you likely don't have the paid LinkedIn products. So I'll show you the free way and then I'll show you the easier way through the paid products. So you go to the company LinkedIn, click on people, and then what you want to do is narrow down a few things. Generally, you want to narrow down to the geography you sell to. So Let's say it's the US. Cool, I'll click that. And then you want to narrow down to the department you're selling to, sales, right? And then the last thing we can do is narrow down to the title, right? So let's say we want to sell to a head of sales. Cool, I'll just type that in and I'll see who pops up. So cool, VP of sales, great. That's a guy who's really high up within the sales org. Boom, just like that, found him. Let's say there wasn't a head of sales. Let's say like we're looking for directors of sales. Well, there'll probably be a few more options here. And really, like, you know, it's not just about finding the perfect person. It's about finding multiple people who could potentially be good. Because again, not everyone's going to respond to your outreach. So you need to reach out to lots of people. So again, these are the types of people who, like, this is similar to one guy we found, I think, was like revenue operations. That's similar to sales enablement. And again, you'll learn that over time as you work with your company, whatever sort of specific titles are like each other and stuff like that. So yeah, VP, great, love it. For instance, I wouldn't reach out to this guy. This guy is a enterprise AE. He's a sales rep. He's not a sort of director of sales. He doesn't manage sales teams, stuff like that, right? Oh, mid-market account executive. Again, this is a sales rep. He's not someone who makes purchase decisions. Usually the people who make purchase decisions are the people who manage people, not the people who are individual contributors and just focus on their own lane and doing their own job. The goal is to generally reach out to people who manage lots of people within the organization. So that's that's one way to go about it. And then this is the this is the way you'll go about it when you're at your company. So if your company is a legit tech sales org, you're going to get a subscription to Sales Navigator, right? So here it just makes it a lot easier. So for instance, I can really narrow down a lot better. So for instance, okay, cool, geography, and then what else do I want to do here? Okay, I'll do that. Because I want multiple people to reach out to, I'll do function. I'll choose sales. I'll choose seniority level. I'm going to choose senior. I'm going to choose VP. What else? I'm going to choose, let's start there. And then maybe director. And then, okay, like maybe I want to choose someone who's new at the company. This isn't always the case. This isn't always necessary, but sometimes I like choosing people who are new to the company because they're looking to make an impact and they're looking to, like, you know, try new things, and maybe less people are reaching out to them because less salespeople, you know, are reaching out to them because they don't know that this person's at the company. In this scenario, we can see no one's like that new to the company. So cool. Now I got some of these people. And then what you can do also is, like, for instance, this person, this is like a sales rep. We don't want them filtering into the results, right? So maybe another thing you can do is like exclude entry-level people. And then she's still showing up. Oh, what you could do is like, okay, account executive, I want to exclude that. So then what you do is like something like that, right? So then you can see that girl's filtered out now. So, you know, and then you can kind of like save these types of filters you create, right? So an example would be like save search, right? So you click that and then you name it, right? So then anytime you're doing this for a company, you don't have to click all these buttons again, right? So there's like the pro version of like finding good potential leads. And then, like, who do you choose to reach out to? The way I think about that is, we'll talk more about this later in the next training, but we're going to talk about cold emailing, how to create good cold emails. You want to find the people who there's information on their profile that you can reach out to about, right? There's something you see on their profile that is related to the product you're selling or the values of your company or the mission of your company, something that you can sort of show that I did research on you. This isn't some generic spammy email. This is something I took the time to craft and personalize for you. People like that. We all have our egos come into play. and then you relate it to how your company helps them, right? So let's see here. You can see like some recent activity. So what did she say here? Okay, this is great. So for instance, this, I think she's some type of director or VP. She says, last year we brought in some like technology and it's helped us have more meaningful conversations with our customers. Okay, cool. That's the thing I'm going to reach out about. I saw your post. Hey Marissa, I saw your post about using force management to empower your sales teams to have more meaningful conversations with customers. Here at Gong, we believe that is just as important, and we're helping your new sales reps have just as meaningful conversations as your seasoned sales reps. So that's like the personalization part of the email. And then we sell what our actual product is. And then we have a call to action that's like, do you have time to chat? Right? So that would be an example of like, okay, I'm going to find something on your profile to which our company, why I'm reaching out to, relates to. And then the email seems really thoughtful and it makes a lot of sense. And it ultimately, makes this person feel like, yeah, this is great. Like, I want to learn more about this. So, cool. So that's kind of how to do that. And then how do you find these leads like contact information? So you can see this right here. It's a little lead IQ tool. This will basically give me the information, like the email, the phone number of this person, so then I can actually reach out to them, right? So if I click this, I actually don't know if you can see this right now, so sorry if you can't. I can't tell on my screen, but basically, I'll just show you like screenshots. Okay, yeah, here's how it looks. So as I'm browsing through LinkedIn, it like has the people's LinkedIn right here. And all I do is like, sort of like, I'll hit a button right here. So here you go, here it is. So I'm on someone's profile. Okay, I'm like, yeah, this is a good contact for me. I'm gonna hit capture. And when I hit capture, that automatically imports that information into Salesforce for me, where we manage all of that sales data, if you remember that. And then when I do this for like 50 or 100 leads at once, then I can take all of that information that's in Salesforce now and import it into Outreach. And if you don't know what Outreach is, shame on you. Should watch part 2 of this training. But then, okay, cool. It's going to go into Outreach where, okay, that's where I'm going to now create my emails to prospects and send those out. So that's kind of how that like funnel, that's how that workflow works as SDR, is capture from Lead IQ, hit a button when you find the right prospect, do that for 50 to 100 prospects. That information's all in Salesforce. Then you export from Salesforce, you hit a button, it exports it all to Outreach, boom, then you can focus on doing your outreach. So there's lots of tools like Lead IQ. So if I just type in like Lead IQ verse, you'll just see all of these other products. They all do the same thing, finding emails, finding phone calls. I haven't noticed too much of a difference, but your company will use, one of those products. So, cool. So that's that. Now let's get back to the presentation. So, so cool. That's how we find them, how we find their contact information. So what are next steps from here? Okay, you just learned how to prospect, right? So show that off to employers. Add this certification to LinkedIn. The way to do that is just you go to LinkedIn, you go to your profile, you hit, this is my friend's profile. I use this LinkedIn because I'm too cheap to pay for premium. You go to, if you don't have a, certification section, then, I should delete this for him. That's my bad. If you don't have a certification section, if you do have a certification section, you can just click on it and like add it here. But if you don't, sorry, Andrew. If you don't have that section, you go to add profile section and you just need to find it here. Here it is, add license and certifications. You type in the name of this certification, which is how SDRs prospect. You type in the organization, Tech Sales Mentors, that's us. You can put the issue date if you'd like. I'd recommend you do that. Hit save, and then cool, and then share it to your network so then employers are seeing this. So so go do that. And then please share it. Share it with your friends who are trying to break in the industry. Like, this is free. I want people to have this information. I don't want them to have to pay a boot camp $10,000 to like learn what tech sales is and just like pique their curiosity and see if they actually like this. Cool. And then, you just watched a lot of content. You're only going to remember some of it. If you actually want to like learn this shit, like do this, right? So that's on you. That's on you if you decide you actually want to learn this stuff. So, take the SaaS company you chose when, you did the Learn by Doing section in part 1 of this SDR course of B2B SaaS and Tech Sales 101. And find 3 companies that would be good fits, and then find 3 people on LinkedIn who would be a good fit for what you're selling, and then their contact info as well. So I showed you Lead IQ. You can sign up for this for free, get free credits, but there's lots of these tools, and all of them have some form of free credits. So cool. So that's how SDRs prospect. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy. Go do the homework, and then watch part 4.